You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Voice After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Voice After Show.
With over 27 million weekly listeners, this is your place to be for all your post-show recap analysis and interviews. This is AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Christian Rosenberg with a very special edition of The Voice AFTERBUZZ. On the phone with me right now is a lady that was winning our hearts and our votes for many, many weeks on this season of The Voice with her high kicks and rock style. Got her all the way to the final 10. Kat Robichaud is joining us right now. Kat, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for taking the time for this interview. You and I have been tweeting back and forth for a few weeks now, which is awesome because you got this whole, you call it the Cat Pack, like your whole like Twitter following, and what I'm loving is you're one of those people that's actually taking the time to respond to people on Twitter, which is kind of rare. So I think that's pretty great.
I think it's important.
I agree. Now, who came up with the concept of calling it like the Cat Pack, and has it really like exceeded your expectations? Because you got over 27,000 followers now. Yeah.
You know what? Terry McDermott came up with this phrase, the Cat Pack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Terry's been amazing. He's been super supportive from the beginning. He was rooting for me, telling people to support me and vote. And so I reached out to him, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Because I hadn't had a Twitter account before the show, and I had no idea how to do Twitter. And he was like, well, you're doing great. I think you're doing great, but you definitely need to coin a phrase to call your fans. And I was like, well, I don't know. What do you think, Terry? And he goes, well, I call him the Cat Pack. And I was like, all right.
Nice.
Okay, why not? So,
and you,
it's been amazing, though.
Yeah, and you even get support from another Voice favorite, Nick Hawk, his flock. I've been seeing him
God, I love Nick.
tweeting for his flock to support you. I call my Twitter followers the Rosebuds, but there's not nearly as many of those as there are Cat Pack. So
very nice. The Rosebuds. That's actually a band from my hometown of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, you should check them out if you like indie rock, I guess.
I'm down with indie rock. I'm down with. So I want to talk about one thing that to me with your performances that I think really stood out, honestly, more than anyone that I remember seeing on The Voice, is your stage presence. You got some. I mean, I'm a musician myself, but you have some with your stage presence. The way you control, and you essentially dominate the stage every time you perform, no matter what kind of song it is. And for people, you're welcome. And for people that are listening, I'm just wondering, what kind of tips or advice would you give to aspiring performers that might be very good singers or musicians, but just kind of might lack that stage presence? Like, what are tips that you got as you were learning your craft, or things that you just learned from experience?
Well, I was in a band for about 7-8 years before I tried out for The Voice. And I just learned kind of from trial and error what works and what doesn't. And then also stuff that I just didn't care about if it worked or not. I was just going to be myself. I think sometimes I would channel certain artists that I admired. Certainly people like Marilyn Manson, Amanda Palmer, Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, people like that are very, they command the stage, and I would pull from them. Sometimes I would even pretend that I was them to get in the right kind of, frame of mind and So it's funny to me. I was watching my performance of "You Ought to Know" from Alanis Morissette.
That was my personal favorite, by the way. The "You Ought to Know" one. That was my favorite one of them all.
Watching that and watching Sail, even the Mary Lambert song, and the little thing that I would do with my leg. I'm like, God, that's Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson does that, and it's like I didn't even realize I was doing it, but having grown up and having, that influence and just, being, and then one thing I really love about Amanda Palmer is that, she really embodies the I don't care, this is who I am, deal with it, female, rock attitude. And so, yeah, I mean, I think if you've got confidence issues or you don't know how to move your body on stage, you should study the greats. You should study people that you look at them and you say, I really like the way that they move. I like the way that they perform, and go from there.
Awesome. Now, those inspirations that you're talking about, I'm sure those musicians are constantly on CeeLo's playlist as well, because he listens to an eclectic, array as well. What was your relationship like with your coach off the camera? And since you've been eliminated, have you been in contact with him at all?
Yeah, we've been in contact. He's reached out to me a couple times to make sure I'm doing okay, and we're gonna see each other in a week when I'm back for the finale. Yeah, I think we had a good time hanging out. We didn't get to hang out that much off camera just because our schedules were so crazy. But there were a few times where he would come backstage to hang out with Caroline and I when we got closer towards the finale. Mm-hmm. And he would just sit and hang out. Once I tried to convince him to watch the movie Brokeback Mountain. I can't remember why, but he'd never seen it. And I was like, "You should totally see it, Freeland." He's like, "No." I'm like, "Come on." But no, I mean, he's a really sweet guy. He's such a sweet guy, and I feel like he and I really were, kindred spirits, because I would be, I would have a moment on camera or, off camera where I would just do something really weird, because that's just who I am,
Sure.
like, I like to perform, and so...
But weird is cool. Weird is cool.
Do this right here. Huh?
Weird is cool. So that's all that matters.
Weird is cool,
keep
right?
doing it. Yes.
But sometimes it's hard because you get sucked into this thing of the cameras are rolling, and you have to, like, at one point... See, if the cameras were off and we would just sit and talk for, 15, 20 minutes about just random stuff and just have a good time. But the cameras are on, and I know you can't cuss. They're going to edit out anything that you say wrong or whatever. And he was trying, he was definitely like in his mode of being coach, and he's like, "You feel me? You feel me?" And I just got so into it. And I was like, "Yeah, girl." And as soon as I said it, I was like, "I just called you a little girl. Oh, I'm panicking." And then I started panicking, and I started like doing the hashtag symbols with my fingers, like "count back," and it was it was so dumb. But no, I mean he's so sweet, and it was fun to work with him, because I think the weirder it got, the more excited he got, the more excited I got. It's like with Sail, rehearsing that with him, and I was just really like laying into it and kind of doing this rush thing with my voice, Sail, and he loved it, and I'm like, yes, I can be weird around CeeLo, and it's totally cool, and this was just really fun. So I really appreciated that.
How many pets did he bring with him to rehearsals?
None.
Oh, really?
I think he said that he had a snake. Like, he was going to bring a boa constrictor, I think, and then he said he couldn't get it approved, that the snake wouldn't behave. I don't know, something. Christina got scared. Who knows? But he said at one point he wanted to bring back Perfect the cat, and I was kind of playing around. I was like, "But, I'm your cat." And he smiled, and they cut that out. And I was like, "Damn it, that would have been cool." That
would have been a nice cheesy moment right there.
A nice cheesy. Yeah, yes. Thank you. You're right. You're absolutely right.
But cheesy sometimes is good. So let me ask you now. I've talked with several people on The Voice from previous seasons, and some once they were eliminated or once the show was over, they continued to follow it, and some kind of just avoided it a little way. I've been noticing you've been tweeting about it nonstop, and you live tweet the results of it. What does it feel almost kind of like a transit, because you're obviously there. You're still going to be there. You're going to be rocking out on the finale, which I can't wait for. But now you're kind of on the other end of it, where you're just kind of sitting and watching and tweeting about it, like most people, like most fans of the show. What has that transition kind of been like for you?
Well, I had a really nice cushion. When I left the show, I was on an airplane going to New York, because they fly you to you either stay in LA and you do MTV and Access Hollywood, or you go to, like, that's what Austin did.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to go. They flew me to New York, and I got to be on the Today Show with Carson. It was good to see him again, MTV. But I'm on the airplane, and I'm flying, and I'm communicating back and forth with Amanda Palmer on Twitter. And I told her I was going to be in New York, and she's like, "Well, Neil Gaiman and I are playing a show in New York on Friday night. Can you come? Can you come and perform?" And it was literally like someone was like, "Hey, you know how much it hurt for you to get sent home on The Voice? Well, guess what? Your idol just asked you to play a show with her, so don't even worry." So no, I mean, that was seriously has been a dream of mine for a decade, to play a show with Amanda Palmer, and it happened.
That's so awesome.
So it was the coolest thing. But as far as, like, it's weird watching the show, because you almost forget that you were there. You almost forget what it's like to be on that stage, and you forget for a split second that it's real. And so I kind of, like, last night I kind of had a moment of, oh, I totally get now why people on the internet forget that you're a real person. Mm-hmm. And they have the ability to be so mean and condescending, which, you know, I think we've all experienced, no matter, I mean, you know, CeeLo, I made a comment last night that Christina's breasts look amazing. And somebody
they did. As a guy, I can tell you they did. They looked fantastic.
Yeah, they looked amazing. And I was going to be like, you know what? I'm not even hating on that. Good for you, girl.
Yeah.
And somebody had the nerve to say something negative. And I was like, really? Come on. I mean, so it doesn't matter who you are or how talented you are, it doesn't matter. People are going to say negative things. And I realized last night it's because people forget you're a real person and you have feelings. And so I'm watching the show, but I'm watching it because they're my friends. And I'm nervous for them, and I'm excited for them, and I want to support them. And certainly, it's hard for me to pick and choose, like, who I'm going to support. I rooted for Caroline, and I did the voice say for Caroline because she was on my team. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to pick favorites, but, like, in that instance, I was like, okay, I can do this because she's on my team. And so that's all right. But now people are asking me, well, who are you rooting for? And who are you voting for? And I don't want to say, because
you don't want to hurt any feelings.
I love everybody.
Right.
Well, I love everybody.
And everyone is so good on the show.
There.
Yes. Definitely, yeah. So let me ask you, because I know we got to start getting ready to wrap this up. But I've been seeing on Twitter you've been kind of promoting an album that you got on Google Play. Do you want to kind of touch on that a little bit?
Well, so I was in a band for about 8 years, and we put out 2 original albums, and so our last album came out pretty much right before we broke up, and so we didn't really have the chance to promote it as much as I would have loved to. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to use the show, to promote it, and so if you Google The Design, that was the name of the band.
All right.
The Design, and then the name of the album is Young America, or you can just Google Kat Robichaud, Young America, because it's under my name as well. It's a great album. It's a really fun rock and roll album that you can just, dance to, rock out to. A lot of people say they absolutely love it in the morning when they're driving to work and they need, to wake up, or they're working out. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really fun, eclectic album, and I think it really shows off who I really am as a performer, that you kind of got to start to see, towards the end with Sail and with We Belong. But yeah, I would love to. I make money on it, so
money's always important.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I listened to a few of the tracks last night, and the sound of it's got a nice mix of, like, Gwen Stefani mixed with Shirley Manson to me. Which Hopefully you take that as a compliment because I thought it sounded awesome. So.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, I love garbage, and I'm a huge fan of No Doubt. So I've just never heard that, but thank you very much.
Oh no, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking. I know you got an incredibly busy schedule, and you were kind enough to take some time to talk with us today. For people that for some reason have not joined the Cat Pack yet, and if there are people, shame on them. Your Twitter, Kat Robichaud. So Kat Robichaud, however you want to pronounce it, it's just Kat Ro B and Show, and because you're entertaining on Twitter too, so it's just a fun person to follow.
yeah. I try to have fun, and if you're a Doctor Who fan, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so I'm constantly posting stuff as a fellow Whovian. But yeah, so I do have to go, but I want to say everybody should watch the show tonight and just be happy for everybody that's made it this far because they are, I don't want to be cheesy again, but they're all winners, and I love them to death.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, Kat. Best of luck with everything else. Can't wait to watch you in the finale, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. Again, you can follow her. Again, you can follow her on Twitter at Kat Robichaud, and you can follow me on Twitter at CRosieVOC. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out at AfterBuzz TV as well for all the updates on shows here, and we'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria
Thank you so much,
Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.